Good morning. This is Greg Study on Soccer. I am here with Andres Trujillo, the owner of the New Mexico Runners MASL2. Andres, thanks for joining me today, man. I'm looking forward to talking to you. You and I have met briefly in the past, but
hmm
this is exciting to have you on the show this morning. Welcome.
Hey, Greg. Hey, thanks for having me, man. I mean, I've been following Study on Soccer for quite some time. I believe we met our first season, and
Maybe.
back in 2018, 2019. And so, man, you know what? There's not very many people out there that have the passion for the arena game like you. So kudos to you for bringing folks the info, the 411, the excitement, the fun of what arena soccer is all about, brother. So thank you for having me.
Nice. Well, we're going to get started in a second, but before we do, let me do a little bit of sponsorship advertising here real quickly. Study on Soccer is brought to you and sponsored by Auden Technologies. Auden Technologies works in everything from security cameras and alarm systems all the way to servers and networks. They operate primarily out of the Midwest and the Northeast. Audit Technologies, the sponsor for Study on Soccer, and we thank Audit Technologies for their sponsorship. They are a huge lifeline for us, and we appreciate them very much.
Gotta
All
pay the
right,
bills, brother. Gotta pay the bills, as they say.
That's outstanding. So, Andreas, what I want to do with you is I want to get started just sort of talking about where it all got started. I mean, where did you grow up? What's your passion for, how did you get your passion for soccer growing up? Let's talk maybe a little touch on your education and your hometown and
Yeah.
all that kind of thing.
Yeah, no problem. So, the funny thing actually arena soccer, indoor soccer was actually one of my first organized sports I've ever played.
Really?
And when I was real little, 6 years old, 7 years old, we had a little indoor sports complex here in Albuquerque, and had 9 indoor fields, 2 big ones and 3 or the rest of them were small ones. And I just loved the game. Loved indoor soccer, fast paced, the excitement, no out of bounds. As kids, you're just loving it, right? I did that for several years, but unfortunately, that complex closed down. But yeah, born and raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and you just always been a sports advocate for everything. And I've played pretty much everything from basketball, football, soccer,
Really?
baseball. I mean, wrestling, you name it. And I've just always been about sports, and so, growing up, I mean, being a local kid here, graduated I'm the first in my family to graduate from a 4-year college at the University of New Mexico. Got my
Wow.
degree in business, marketing, and as well as psychology. And
Wow.
so, I was originally in my life and what I wanted to do. I had several career passions that I was pursuing. And first was I wanted to be an arson investigator. And
Wow.
so always loved the fire department, always loved what the processes of how things go within the department systems, investigating how fires started, things like that. Just wanted to do that. And then I eventually kind of moved on to different things. I wanted to be a school counselor,
Mm.
and just a counselor in general as well. I've always wanted to help make this world a better place. If I can help people, I just want to help people. That's a goal of mine, in life in general. And so I went to school in New Mexico. All you needed was a bachelor's degree.
Right.
And of course, my bachelor's in psychology. That was my focus. And then all of a sudden, the state changed the requirements to a master's or better to be a counselor. And so, unfortunately, I didn't want to continue school further than I had to. And so I said, okay, well, we're gonna change gears here and figure out what we want to do. And so, ended up, interestingly enough, got involved in radio. And I actually got involved and worked for Radio Disney back in 2000. I want to say 2006. Uh,
How
so
fun.
yes, Disney with Mickey Mouse. Oh boy, Mickey Mouse. And so, so I was actually a dancer and an MC for our local Radio Disney station, and fell in love with radio. Fell in love with media, and it was just such a great experience. But then, as time went on, I kind of obviously lost the drive to go towards arson investigation or being a school counselor or anything like that. Media was that. And then I eventually started working for ESPN Radio. And I worked for ESPN Radio from 2007 through 2016. And I was actually a radio host as well. So I hosted a Saturday talk show called Chalk Talk. And so, just talking about things in the community, sports, organizations, just bringing a positive light in the community. And, radio was great, and started getting involved with different media aspects. And I do TV production for local high school sports athletics, local college, and working with a local production company. So, and I still do that on the side today and help those guys out. And funny thing is, they're the ones that broadcast our games. And so I've been doing that, worked with the AAA affiliate, the Isotopes, Albuquerque Isotopes baseball, worked production there. And, and then started investing in sports, right? I always had a passion for building our community, like I said earlier, and sports is one of the greatest ways to build excitement, positivity, a beacon of hope in a community. And I actually got my first taste of sports entrepreneurship, if you will, by investing in a local PDL soccer team, the Albuquerque Soul. And it wasn't much money. It was like, $5,000, something small. But yeah, I said, hey, you know what? If I can help kick this thing off, pun intended, this will be great. And so, of course, that was great. Had a good run for, I want to say, 5 seasons. And so that was fantastic. But then also, when you start the investment bug of trying to create sports products and trying to come up with ideas and concepts within the sports world, well, then, of course, I got tied into a professional indoor football team called the New Mexico Stars at the time. And so I invested some money into that and got involved with that. That was fantastic. That was fun. Of course, we know a lot of things happen in sports with ownership. Things happen. And unfortunately, things got shifted over to the point where I had to get with a couple partners to start another professional arena football team called the Duke City Gladiators. And, you can see their helmet up there. But yeah, so I got with some partners. We started that in 2015 and just rock and roll for several seasons. And was great. But then I got to a point where I said, hey, we have a lot of owners on this football team, and I mean, I want to see some results. I want to see some reward. I want to see something that benefits me, right? Like I need something so I can continue to build on my passion. And because there was quite a few owners on the football team, I said I'm going to step away and kind of work on my own thing. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to work on my own thing. And
Andreas, let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
Because I can tell that you're about to get to where we're going to start talking about the New Mexico Runners, and I want to do a couple things. One is, are you familiar with Andres Trujillo? He's the owner of the MASL 3 Detroit Wazaflow.
Yes.
Okay, so he just wrote this to you.
Okay.
Can you read that?
All right. Yes. Oh, in the music industry, let's connect the dots. Greg, link us together. You two are doing amazing. I'm working with a music company called Chewy Entertainment. We got over 1 billion streams on all our channels last year. Let's connect the dots. Hey, I'm all about connection, baby. That's one thing that I'm all about. Working together to make the world go round. Let's do it.
So he also threw this in there as a secondary comment. So yeah, Dominic Cicluna and I have been connected for quite a number of years, and I would love to get you guys hooked up together. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is you mentioned that in your youth you played pretty much every sport there was. What made you at what point did you focus on soccer?
So I mean, I've like I said, indoor soccer was so amazing to me. I was a goalkeeper in my young age of 6, 7, playing the indoor game, and it is just such a unique experience, right? Soccer has a different camaraderie than the other sports that I really enjoyed, and it just it's the world's game. I mean, let's just be real. Soccer is the world's game. And I'm not to say that I don't have passion for any other sport, because I absolutely do. But when stars align and you kind of see where the dynamics of what can go up and how you can build on itself, and there's the foundations for soccer is one of those that you can actually go to the sky's the limit on what you can do with soccer.
Right.
You kind of look overseas and kind of see what things how things happen in the European hierarchy of sorts, and you're like, okay, this is cool, and then you will say, okay, the United States can bring few of these concepts here because soccer, I feel like, is a little bit younger in the United States and the concept of the game. Sure. But what's cool about it is we're starting to see this transformation of folks jumping on board with soccer. And bringing the world together, that under common denominator, that's my MO, right? Like bringing everyone together for the betterment of the world and the society and positivity. I mean, soccer just resonates with that concept.
That's
so
very cool.
I mean, yeah, that's why soccer. I'm so tied in right now with zoned in on what we're doing, and that's why.
Very cool. That's very cool. Another thing that you mentioned is that you grew up in Albuquerque and you are a graduate from UNM. Now, you and I have some connections here. And I've mentioned it to you before. And the connection isn't so much with me as much as it is with my family. My mom and dad met in Albuquerque. My dad went to UNM and graduated from UNM. My brother was born in Albuquerque.
Hey,
my sister passed away when she was 2, and she's buried in Albuquerque along with my grandmother.
Sorry for your loss.
So there's a lot of connections. So we go there. Yeah, we go there. My mom was actually raised in Madrid.
Okay.
So
very cool. I love driving through there. That's like one of those drives just behind the mountains where you can just relax and cruise through. And of course, most people know Madrid from Wild Hogs, the movie, right? And so, but dude, oh my gosh, like it was funny because there's a phrase where you hear everyone's connected 6 degrees of separation, but for whatever reason in New Mexico, anybody tied to New Mexico somehow, it's like 2 degrees. Like
I know,
there's not 6
right?
degrees, it's really 2.
And it's really cool because as a kid I grew up. Now I was born in December, and so turquoise is my birthstone. And so when I was a kid, it was like, okay, well, whatever. I mean, so what? That's nothing. But we had family in Albuquerque, so we would take the trip to Albuquerque. We go to Old Town, and it's like we got the locals, the Navajos and the Hopis, and they're down there. They're selling all of their turquoise jewelry.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I mean, I just fell in love with the culture. I mean, it's such a cool spot. And then as I got older, I started working in the airline industry, and we made a number of trips to Albuquerque and laying over there. And it was one of those things, okay, I want to go up the tram, to the Sandia tram.
Uh-huh.
I've got to do the Sandia tram. And I go on this tram, and it's like, when does it end?
World's longest tramway, baby.
Are you kidding me? I mean, it's so funny because you're sitting in the gondola, and there's a crest line. You can see the crest line, and you can see the cable go up, and you think, okay, well, there's the top.
Nope.
And then you go over. Nope. and another crest line. Okay, well, there's the top. And then the other cool thing about it is that, of course, this was in the wintertime. So down in the basin, it's nice and temperate and, really cool. And up at the lodge, it's snow packed and people skiing around. So what a great cultural area. And I really
the best view you'll ever have. I mean, when you're at the top of the tram, the view of the entire city is amazing.
Oh yeah, I love.
Couple that with our beautiful watermelon sunsets, man. It's picture perfect.
And then also the balloon episode that you guys have once a year.
Balloon Fiesta. Mm-hmm.
The balloon fiesta that goes on once a year, which is outstanding. But let's get a little closer to home because Rio Rancho is not Albuquerque.
No, Rio Rancho is a suburb.
Right, Rio Rancho is what, about 25 miles north?
They butt up against each other. So Rio Rancho actually butts up against Albuquerque. So they share a street, right? One side of the street's Rio Rancho, one side of the street's Albuquerque. It's that. And really Rio Rancho is basically the metro area. I mean, it is just a big part of it. But one of the cool things about Rio Rancho is that it's on its own wavelength. I mean, they've grown in the last few years from 80, 90,000 people to over 110,000 people in Rio Rancho. So
Wow.
Rio Rancho is kind of the spot to go when it comes to finding homes or whatnot. And it's very, very residential in Rio Rancho, but very, very community oriented as well.
So and I'm gonna back up just a little bit. It's sharing another one of the family little stories. This happened. This happened about a month and a half ago. Okay,
Okay.
I'm sitting in my mom and dad's house. They're both still living, and they live together in the home that I grew up in Encinitas. And I visit them frequently because they're not that far away. And I was in the living room with my dad, and he says, "I want to show you something." This comes out of the blue, out of nowhere. He says, "I want to show you something." And he's big about following webcams,
Okay.
town webcams, where you can plug into a webcam and you can watch the street go by and watch right. Well, he found on a webcam, he found the apartment building, the apartment that he and my mom lived in when they met.
No way.
It's still there. It hasn't been rebuilt. It's the same structure. And he points. This is so funny. He points at a window, and he says, that's my apartment, and that's the window that your mom walked in front of when I saw her the very first time."
No way. That is amazing.
Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool?
Anyway, whereabouts was the apartment?
I don't know enough.
I mean, I don't know. I was curious. Maybe you know.
Well, it's walking distance to the university.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that much. It's walking distance to the university. So yeah, so just really cool. I've been anxious to share these stories with you. It's
Dude,
I mean, I know the people watching really couldn't care less.
But it's cool because being born and raised here, right? Like there's such a tie to a lot of people, even outside of New Mexico, and that is one thing that's really cool. And I definitely appreciate those stories and being a born and raised individual from New Mexico. So that's cool, man.
Well, and then the local Navajo and Hopi culture that's there, especially in Old Town, is something that it's so cool. I mean, it really is unique to that location and to that area. And I absolutely love it. So let's fast forward. How did the New Mexico Runners happen? When did that idea get born in your head, and how did that happen?
So after I decided to step away from the arena football scene, I honestly was just kind of like, all right, I'm kind of fed up with this right now. I just like, you know what? I need to just take a break from everything, take a break from getting involved in things. And I wasn't gaining any momentum on my end and things like that. So I'll take a break. And then ironically, there was a concept to do a USA Mexico game in September of 2017, I want to say, and it was they were trying to do some sort of a exhibition, and from what I heard, the MASL was looking for markets, at all levels. MASL2 just started, I believe. And they were looking for markets to fill the gaps. And from what I understood, there was teams in Denver, of course, in Texas, and at the time, I think Arizona as well. And so I heard about it. I didn't know much. And I was contacted by one of my former business partners with the arena football and said, "Oh, hey, we're going to be doing this, and you want to be a part of it?" And I'm like, "Nah, I don't want to do anything, this, that, and the other." So I believe the game happened, the match happened. I didn't attend it or anything like that. But then after that, I thought about it. I'm like, okay, my passion is here. How do I do something in the sports world that is impactful, that is unique, that is different to New Mexico? We've had football teams, we've had basketball teams, there's baseball teams, hockey teams. What else could be done? And then it just clicked, and I'm like, arena soccer. And then I kind of just sat there for a minute thinking, that was fun when I was little. I loved indoor soccer so much. And then it hit me, and I said, That's what I want to do. So then I actually called up the league commissioner at the time and said, hey, I'm into this. I have experience. I've been a sports entrepreneur. I have experience in doing this, and I really want to see if this is feasible and make this happen for New Mexico. And so went through the whole process, getting onboarded, ownership. The league has to go through their thing to make sure you're qualified, things like that. But then and then in December of 2017, I made the commitment. I had to talk to my wife, of course, and say, hey, we've gone through other sports ventures together. What would you think of this? And she basically just says, I go wherever you go, baby. So shout out to my wife, Kate. She's an angel. She's been by my side and since day one of everything. But then in 2018, the beginning, went through the whole process, and then officially in April of 2018 got awarded the franchise and the market. And then it was time to get to work. Had our press conference in June, and all history from there.
Yeah. And of course, as we were just talking about my connections, my family connections with the area, as soon as I saw the New Mexico Runners pop up, man, I'm going, okay, that's fun. I got to get out there, and I haven't been able to get out there since. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm really excited about it. And you guys, I mean, obviously, I do the play-by-play for the San Diego Sockers 2 this season. So I can't say that the Runners are my favorite team, or else somebody might get angry with me.
Yeah, it's okay. we're good. We have a good line of connection here, Greg, and so we're good. But it's just such a cool experience, man. And one of the cool things is that I've got to share with you is that through arena soccer, connections are abundant, and everyone you meet within arena soccer is so cool. I mean, Peter Sharkey, I see you in the comments, love you too, buddy. I mean, met him through being involved with arena soccer, and he's a great individual, and you meet so many great individuals.
It's a great community.
I kind of get asked the same kind of story, like, oh, how'd you start this, that, and the other? And to be quite honest, it's definitely a huge risk for us when we started the Runners. And basically, I had whatever money I had saved up to buy the license. That is exactly what I invested. And then after that, I had $0. And so basically I told my wife, I said, it's a risk. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how this is going to work. And she goes, well, I have faith in you. I mean, you've done so many other things, and you can make things happen. You could turn water into wine. So just go for it. And so with $0, I basically printed up a sponsorship partnership playbook of what we could do for businesses in the community, and went out and hit the streets and got folks that invested in me, myself, in what I was doing, of course, investing in the product, the concept. And I got to tell you, businesses, one of the coolest things, arena soccer has one of the most effective advertising platforms in all of sports, because there's so much you can do. It's so dynamic, whether it's digital, whether it's physical, whether it's community engagement, whether it is so unique in the fact that you can advertise on anything in arena soccer. It is so fun. And so I was able to get things together to pull it off for the first season, and it was like, okay, we got through season 1. This is cool. Shall we keep going? Well, yeah, let's keep going. So,
where did you draw your players from that first season?
We drew local. I mean, we were 100% local at that point, and so we were looking for ways to kind of figure out how to do this, because New Mexico is an island. Like, let's be, when you look at the different markets, whether it's San Diego, whether it's Phoenix, whether it's KC, whatever these markets are, there's a abundance and a lot of population base that you can pull from with player pools. So I mean, it became a situation like, okay, how can we harness the local talent, and how can we facilitate getting things together on board to make this happen? And so we farmed locally, and we were able to kind of make it happen and do the best we can, and just continue to build.
And to your point about being somewhat of an island, I mean, you say New Mexico's an island, but I would argue Albuquerque itself is somewhat of an island. I mean, Santa Fe is not all that close by. Las Cruces is not all that close by.
Correct.
I mean, those communities are islands as well.
Yes.
I mean, it
Yes.
really is. There's distance. There's distance, and it's open distance from one major city in New Mexico.
I mean,
to
you're
another
at 7.5 hours to Denver, 7 hours to Phoenix. I mean,
right.
to Dallas, you're 10 hours away to 11 hours. So,
Right.
I mean, you really you have a lot of distance, like you said. You're right. You have a lot of distance between major markets. So,
Right.
so that's definitely a challenge on a lot of things, but we figure it out.
That's really cool. So you've had I would say moderate success on the field. You haven't made it. You haven't broke through to where you're pushing some of the upper teams maybe on a regular basis, but you've had moderate success. And if that's all local talent, my friend, that's outstanding.
The thing is that I think one of the cool things is that we are building something for the long run. It's the long game is what matters. And
Right.
so if you can steadily increase success, that's great. And for us, over the seasons, you kind of figure out what's working, what's not. You try. Every season is always trying to figure out the problems and the solutions, right? And so and a lot of times in this game and running a team or on the field, off the field, you're going to run into adversity. And I think what matters is that you're able to find the right path, and whether it's replenishing the well, whether it's trying to find new talent, and that's the key, right? One of the key factors for us this season is that we have a lot of rookies, a lot of new folks that are exposed to the game, and so it's a transition, right? You're trying to transition these guys into being well off indoor players,
Right.
and outdoor and indoor are two different games. I want
Absolutely.
people think that when I approach folks about indoor soccer, arena soccer, they're just like, wait, so you play like outdoor soccer but inside a building? And I'm like, no, not even close. But
Not even.
it's a whole different thing. And they're like, oh, okay, well, how do you do that? And it's like literally it's soccer, hockey, and basketball put together is the best way I like to put it out there. It's very
Right.
aggressive, it's fast paced,
Right.
and you're playing on a
Right.
hockey rink sized field with walls. And they go,
Right.
oh, they got to connect the dots, right? And then
All right.
so exposing our local area to what we're doing. We're New Mexico's first major arena soccer league team, and we're New Mexico's first higher level arena soccer team, and breaking
Right.
barriers like that, there's challenges, and a lot of folks ask me like, oh, what's this, and blah 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 blah, and I said, look, when you're looking at long-term goals, nobody thought we could go to the moon until we did. And so that's how I'm
Right.
taking every step with this team and this franchise and whatnot is we got to look at things and we got to take those risks and we got to make it happen. And I'm not going to lie. This operation has been definitely a strain on me, my family, and we're 100% family owned and operated, which is really unique to what we do. And whether it's my wife's my game day operations, my mom's my ticketing director, my aunt's my fan engagement coordinator, nephew or whoever's available is my mascot, my dad's my setup, and my sisters, and everybody comes together to make things happen with this organization. So and that's kind of one of my goals is to inspire families to work together for the better.
That's really cool.
And so when it comes to trying to figure out problems, we just kind of just keep moving forward. We never stop, and we never give up, and we work through them. And but the idea is to be attractive as possible for athletes. And one of the cool things, I got to go shout out to a couple guys that actually came from the East Coast to play with us, and Jordan
Nice.
Maldonado and Pete and Cedillo. I mean, they came from the East Coast to come play with us, and I mean,
Nice.
so we're starting to attract different individuals from all over the country, which is really cool. And
Yes,
it
it
just
is.
shows our program is growing, and what we're doing within the community, within on the soccer field. It's growing pains is what I'm saying right now. I know
Right.
our record doesn't reflect that this season, but the growing pains are there. But we know how that happens, and we'll overcome the adversity. That's what
Well,
it is.
well,
Overcoming adversity.
you mentioned your nephew doing your mascot.
Mhm.
Rio has got to be the coolest mascot I've ever seen.
Hey, he's, I like to call him the Mickey Mouse of New Mexico. He is somebody, he is a character. He has his own following. He has his own
Yeah,
merchandise. He's so cool because the kids love him. And just kind
yeah,
of give you a little story about why I did what I did with Rio. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, I worked for Radio Disney. And when you think of Disney, who do you think of?
right.
Mickey Mouse, right?
Well,
So
you think
now
of Mickey Mouse first.
think about it this way, right? My goal is the long game with this brand, with this organization, this franchise. Kids at 3 years old, 2 years old, 4 years old, they don't know what Disney is. They don't know Disney, but they know Mickey Mouse, right?
Yep,
And
yep.
so as they get older, they connect the dots and they know Mickey is Disney. And that's the same thing with Rio the Roadrunner. Rio the
How
Roadrunner
cool.
is our Mickey Mouse and he's our long game. And kids, my 3-year-old loves Rio. I mean, at 2 years old, he Rio, Rio, Rio. And
Yeah,
so but what's cool is, and because I got my degree in psychology and watching child development and whatnot, this is one of my cool favorite things with my son, is that I see now that he's 3, he knows Rio is the Runners.
gotcha.
And every home game day, my son, are we
Wow.
gonna go to the arena? Is it
Wow.
Runners time? Is it Runners soccer? Can I see Rio? I mean, so it's connected the dots into their heads, and that is
Yeah.
that. So the concept is working. It's working across the community. I mean, I've had kids make Rio costumes for Halloween. Some of our
Oh
fans made
man.
costumes of Rio homemade, and so when you start to see that community come together behind what our brand is all about,
Yeah.
it makes people want to follow what we're doing,
Absolutely.
and that's what's happening. We got great diehard season ticket holders, and our season ticket holders are rocking and rolling. They're here holding strong every season,
Right.
and so when you connect those dots, it's like you said, Greg, connections and
Yeah.
networking, and that's
Yes.
what Rio is. He's the face of our networking organization.
You put yeah, well, and you put him out in the community too, which is super cool. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he goes out into the community representing. And the other thing that's really important is that you constructed a quality costume. I mean,
Yes, wasn't cheap.
it,
I'm not gonna lie,
yeah,
but
I'm sure that's true because I mean it's a quality costume and it plays really well. And if your nephew is the guy inside that costume, hats off to him
it's
because he's doing
honestly
a
it's my
great job.
nephew, it's my cousin, it's a family friend. I mean, it's really
Okay.
cool because people want to be Rio. You would be surprised how many people I get asking to be Rio, and of course I'm all about quality control because Rio has a brand, he has an image, he
Yep.
has a
Yep.
persona. So if you're
Yep.
able to keep up with that persona, you're able to
Yep.
be animated and stuff like that, then you're qualified.
Yep.
But then there's some people, I just want to be in a suit, and I'm like, yeah, no, like, can you
Yep.
dance? Can you be engaging? Can you? And unfortunately they can't. And I'm like, I gotta say,
Yep.
sorry, I have to keep my brand, protect my brand and
That's right.
whatnot. But yeah, man, it's funny because funny story is so when I created Rio and I drew out Rio, I created the coloring, the concept, the look. I did it all. Just like on my logo, I try to match him to my logo as much
Yep.
as possible. I drew out my logo, created my logo, and so I actually made Rio for my body type, my height, my
Okay.
size. I actually made him for me. And for the first I would say 7 months we had Rio, I was Rio. And so
Okay.
I was going to the community, I was Rio, and I was doing it and I was having fun with it, and then eventually my wife's like, okay, you got out there, it's time, we need to find somebody. And of course my nephew stepped up and was like, yeah, I'll do it, I'll check it out. He was great with the kids. And of course my cousin,
Right.
hey, hey Steven, you want to try it? Yeah, I'll try it. Great with the kids. And then of course we've grown, and so now what's really cool is we have actually about 5 folks in rotation that are Rio. So depending on what side of town Rio is needed, that's who will pick up to be Rio for whatever event.
You you mentioned you've got some good stand hard uh, season ticket members that keep coming back and are part of the backbone of the fan base. How is that fan base?
It's cool because one of the biggest experiences with our fan base is there's a lot of folks who hate soccer. They absolutely or several of our season ticket holders will tell you, I hate soccer. And I'm like, okay, but they're like, I love New Mexico Runners Arena Soccer because it is not typical soccer. It's exciting. There's a lot going on. The home game environment's fun. You have the music with the on-field activities. The fans get thrown out goodies after they score a goal. I mean, it is just an experience. And that's exactly what I aim to do with our organization when folks come to our games. It's all about experience. And win or lose, yes, we want to win. That's the goal. But win or lose, we want fans to be able to, that was fun. That was exciting. I'm coming back. And I want to tell people about New Mexico Runners. And so, I mean, that's really what means a lot to me because, we talk about what you feel like after the games and stuff like that. If it's just a game, folks kind of just, okay, whatever. But if it's a lot going on that, hey, I get to engage with the fans get to engage with the players after the game. We after every home game, we invite every single one of our fans in the stands to come on the field, sign autographs, take pictures, kick the soccer ball around. I mean, that experience is memorable for everybody. And so, but at the end of the day, my thoughts are those that hate soccer, they love New Mexico Runners Arena Soccer, they'll love soccer because we're exposing them to soccer overall. And at the end of the day, indoor or outdoor, it's soccer. We're bringing it all together. That's the goal.
Yeah, it is indeed. And there are those that will, like what you're saying, there's a lot of people that, they're the purists, that say this indoor soccer isn't really soccer. And it's,
I get that a lot. Yep.
Yeah. My thing is, look, the skill set is almost exactly the same. The mindset is what's different. I mean, the IQ, the soccer IQ that you need to play indoor soccer is a different IQ than you need to play outdoor soccer.
Yes.
And now, of course, you have differences. Others too. You have beach soccer, you have futsal. Now you've got TST and you've got Kings League. I mean, and all of them have their own little niche. What they're what they're doing. And the indoor game for me, the indoor game is unique in the way it's played and the way it plays to the fan with the boards. I mean, it adds a completely new dimension to the sport. And when and it's not that you don't end up with a 3-1 game every once in a while. That's rare, but but you can. I mean, occasionally you'll have a 60-minute game go by and it's only 3-1 and the game is over. And it was a defensive battle that is highly unique because of the nature of the sport. It's generally 9-6, instead of 3-1. That kind of thing. But
the crazy dynamic is that even if there is a lower scoring game with the indoor with arena, it is moving so fast.
That's right.
And that is what I think people like to see, right? I mean, as Americans, people like that fast pace. What's going on? And so.
Right.
I was talking to a fan yesterday, and they're like, "Well, this is my first time, and how holy moly, like the ball goes here, it goes there, it goes here." Outdoor soccer, there's passing and a team may hold the ball for a minute or two. And here you're only holding the ball for like 5 seconds and then it's gone.
That's right.
I said, it's the dynamic of the game with the free substitution. I think that throws a lot of soccer purists off as well. Folks that have never seen arena soccer, they go, wait, so they can just switch out? I'm like, yeah, they go their shifts and that's the way it works. I mean, they're running, balls to the wall for their shift and then they get out. Then the next shift comes in and it's that fast. And so exposing New Mexicans to the game is really fun and unique, definitely challenging. So if any New Mexicans are watching and never been to a New Mexico Runners game, you have to come and experience what we're doing.
Yeah, you got to go. You got to go to the game. So I had Darwin Salas on the show last week.
Yes,
and of course he's the owner of the Iowa Demon Hawks, and we spoke a little bit about the MASL 2 championship series that took place last year in Wichita, and he made a comment that I wanted to share with you.
Okay.
Because his team ultimately won the championship, right? He said the toughest team we faced was the New Mexico Runners.
Interesting, huh?
in that tournament, he says the game when we played the New Mexico Runners, they were the toughest team. They were the ones that scared us the most getting out of that game with a win.
Are you sure it was us? Because we didn't make the playoffs last year. We didn't make the playoffs. Are you sure that was us?
That's what he said.
Okay, well, or maybe is he foretelling? Is that what he's doing? Is he foretelling for the future?
So I thought you were there in replacement of the team that couldn't make it.
No, we weren't.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder who you think.
I don't know. Maybe he wants to play us really badly. Darwin, if you're wanting to play us, we got to figure this out. So yes, okay. That's probably what it is. He's dreaming, right? Like he's in his mind dreaming at night. Well, again, and I get it, right? You know, you got the Hawks, and then you got the Roadrunners. So I mean, maybe he's wanting a bird battle or something. I don't know.
All right, so let me move on from that. So this season,
okay,
the NASL2 league has expanded.
Mm-hmm.
And you are in the division that is the result of that expansion, right? Yeah. I mean, for the most part, you and Chihuahua were there last year, but San Diego and Empire and Turlock, these are new teams, and all those teams found themselves playing in your division.
Yeah.
Now, before we go any further, something happened this last week, and I don't know what it was, because I know you were scheduled to play the Sockers too this week, weren't you?
Yes. Yeah. So what happened was we had, I guess there was some winter weather blast down in Mexico. San Diego was supposed to get down to Chihuahua for last Friday night and then play Chihuahua. And so I guess San Diego flew into Mexico City and I guess got stuck. I don't know exactly what happened, but they got stuck. And so at the end of the day, they weren't able to travel to us, because the idea was to play in Chihuahua and then drive up to come play us. And unfortunately, the weather in Mexico, the icy roads and whatnot from Mexico City to Chihuahua or whatever it was, they couldn't make it happen. So they ended up having to get back home somehow. But then, so we were a little bit of a frenzy, because we were like, well, we have a home game Sunday. What do we, all our stuff is ready for San Diego, and all our printing, our marketing, everything we're doing, everything is all ready for, and our team was preparing for San Diego. But Friday and Saturday, it was working with the league commissioner, Chris Economides, and I'll give him a shout out, because he worked his butt off to facilitate getting things happen, to getting things to make happen for us on a home game. And so between him and I and everybody else involved and Chihuahua, give them credit and shout out to Chihuahua Savage too for stepping up and saying, hey, I think the roads would be all right. We'll drive up to you guys and play you guys in replacement of San Diego. So JC, so JC Robledo, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys down there in Chihuahua. It was a frenzy, man, and most people don't realize there's a lot of cost that goes involved that's involved with running home games in arenas and things like that. And so we were able to facilitate it with Chihuahua, and I'm very happy that they were able to make it. And actually we got a game situated yesterday. So I got to give them shout out again.
And your next game, not only your next game, but when I'm looking at it, your next 3 games are against the Wichita Wings.
Yeah, very weird. We unfortunately, the league had a little bit of a, before we started this season, there was just some several teams that ended up dropping out, and it was a little unfortunate, because those teams kind of left the rest of the division in a little bit of a shambles situation. So making things work any way possible, the schedule got kind of twisted a little bit. But the league worked their butts off to ensure that the season was filled up. But yeah, we go to Wichita this weekend on the 18th, and then the Wichita turns around and comes back and plays us on here at home on January 26th. 6th, and then we have a few bye weeks, should we say, a little bit of a break, and then we actually will play Wichita again here at home on February 23rd. So we'll have Wichita 3 times in a row. So I mean I think that's a good thing for our guys too, because now, hey, we know what we're up against no matter what, and we got 3 chances to get a victory so against Wichita. So we got to look at the silver lining, right?
Well, and you faced them already once this season.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
well, what do you think about the 12-game season and how it's been placed out, how it's been pulled out to take a little bit longer time? That way you get those bye weeks and such. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a little too long, to be honest. I think we need to play our 12 weeks. And I know scheduling with arenas and things like that, it's kind of tough. But at the end of the day, I think people are able to get their arenas situated, and if we can get our dates situated early before we start putting out there, I mean, we can all make it work. The 12 games, I honestly would like to see at least 7 home, 7 away. I'd like to see 14 games in the season. That'd be awesome. And even 16 games. I mean, eight home, 8 away. That's been the biggest complaints from our fan base is there's only 6 games, and they want more home games. And definitely it's a conversation we discuss in the league quite a bit. And so I want to play regular season games, and I know there's some ideas of just play exhibition games and things like that. I don't want to play exhibition games. I want to play season games. Like, to me, I think that means more to our fans. Our fans take that as more. It's more. It has meaning. It counts. And that's what I want. I want more of that. And, hopefully in our next meetings, we can discuss on the expansion of the season to make it, at least 7 home, 7 away, and whatnot.
So Andreas, let me ask you this. This question comes up pretty much every time I speak with anybody in any of the divisions of M2 or M3.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim is asking, are you getting close to M1?
Jim, hey buddy, I appreciate you, man. I know Jim's been following us since day one, and Jim, shout out to you, buddy. I appreciate you continuing to follow us, and so I get this question asked quite a bit. Because really a lot of what we do operates on M1 standards, and whether it's our broadcast, it's whether it's how we operate our operations within the games and whatnot. The way my best answer for that is that's my goal. I want to get there. That's the goal, the ultimate goal for me with this organization. But there are factors that whether it's financial, whether it's step by step, making sure the stars align properly, so that the team has success. And I think that is where we're at right now. We want to make sure that we're operating at a certain point, a certain level that can make M1 sustainable for us. And so and it's hard. It's tough because sports teams are not cheap to operate. Like most people think we just put a team together, we play, and it doesn't. It's not. That's not the case. So, but it's a goal, Jim. It's a goal of mine. But step by step. So we're continuing to work. We're still in our infancy, but we just got to keep working. That's all. That's the answer I got.
Yeah. Okay. And one of the points that you make there that is interesting to me is that it is true that your game day production is as close to a level of M1 game day production. Now, I don't know that all the other teams make that kind of a commitment, but I wanted to ask you, you don't have an M1 affiliate, do you?
No, we don't have an M1 affiliate.
Okay, so now that begs the question: is it a level playing field? I mean, for teams like your own that does not have, or the Turlock Express that does not have, is there when there's teams like the Ambush 2 or the Sockers 2 or any of these other teams, or the Baltimore Arsenal, or any of these teams that actually have direct M1 connections, is that a disadvantage for you?
I would say yeah. I would say yes. I think the short answer is yes. And it's not by the fault of anybody or anything like that. It's really the evolution of the league. So I will not fault anybody for that. It's just how things have played out. Now, I mean, I do think that having an M1 affiliate can give some opportunity to M2 teams to elevate themselves, but also the factor there is proximity. So having closer M1 teams is a huge positive, right? And there's some teams that are down the road and from M1 teams, and so they're affiliated or whatever. Well, we already talked about it. Albuquerque and Rio Rancho, we're on an island, and so I think our closest M1 team is Dallas. I think that's 10, 11 hours away, 12 hours away. So I mean, when you look at distance, San Diego's 15 hours away, so 15, 16 hours drive, right? So when you look at distance, we're on an island, and we've talked about M1 affiliation, and I think there's some positivity with it. I think it could be great. I think it could be cool. But it definitely, I know with M1, they kind of, every team kind of operates on their own wavelength, and how they operate their teams, and how they structure with their connections with arena soccer across the league. But I think there's some positivity to affiliation. But in our situation, definitely we are definitely climbing Mount Everest, if you will, butt naked, so to speak, when it comes to those concepts of not currently being affiliated like other teams.
Well, the Iowa Demon Hawks don't have an affiliation, and the Wichita Wings don't have an affiliation, as far as I know.
No.
So there are other teams that are working it in a similar fashion.
Yeah, of course.
Well, listen, we've been doing this for almost an hour now, buddy.
Dude, time flies when you're having fun.
It sure does. I really appreciate you, Andreas, and I really appreciate your spirit. I appreciate your commitment to the game. I am committed to make it out there.
I was just gonna ask you that. When are you coming out here, buddy?
I'm committed to coming out there. I've been trying to see, this is the thing, and I got to tell you, back to the family thing. I got to tell you, I've been using that sort of as my leverage. I've been trying to get mom and dad to make that trip.
Okay.
They're in their late 80s, and so travel is a big thing. And it's like I'm trying to, let's rent an RV. I mean, if you don't want to fly, let's make a road trip. I mean, let's go to Albuquerque.
Yeah,
come on. We want to visit the family. We want to visit the family that's interned there. We want to go see the highlights of the locations that you guys met at. And you might know the name of this. Okay. There is a restaurant in Old Town, I believe, that has a giant tree growing up in the middle of the dining room area.
Oh,
right.
So I believe it was called La Posada, but they just have a new ownership now. It's a new name. So I want to say it's La Posada was when you.
I think that's right.
Yeah, but they have a new owner. I don't think it's La Posada anymore, something else. But yeah, they have a giant tree grown through the restaurant. They built around it.
Yeah, and that was one of the sites when I've been there in the past with my folks. That's one of their, we got to go there. We got to have. There's a dessert that they served there that was amazing that they loved, and I
think it was it the flan? Was it the custard, the flan? I don't know, or was it the trying to think. I haven't been to that restaurant in a long time.
Anyway.
Oh God. Yeah, I don't know. But
anyway,
one of the questions I want to ask you, like you've been asking me questions, but I want to ask you this, and this is something I for any of our local folks watching, local fans, local potential fans, what do you have to say, and what can you say to those that are watching, because I shared it on my social media as well, that are watching, to get them to say, hey, come out and support the New Mexico Runners. Come out and support the game of arena soccer.
Well, Andreas, look, I think we've actually touched on most of it. It is one of those things. First off, get rid of any of the animosities between one type or the next.
Right.
If you like outdoor soccer, that's fine. I do. I love outdoor soccer, but it is a different feel and it is a different sport. Come out and experience this before you make a bad, lock your head into some bad way of thinking about indoors. Before you make that lock in your mind, come out and experience it, especially on the way that you guys produce it and the production that you guys put out there, making it that experience, that full embodied experience. The other thing is, and it's sort of on the same line, and I think hockey is a game that this is similar to as well.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the game instead of thinking that you can watch it on TV and know what you're going to experience.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one thing to watch the sport on television, and it's fun, and I enjoy the sport no matter what. But if you go to the game, it's a whole different thing.
Yes.
You go in there and you experience it, and also recognize the fact that once you get involved in the sport, and this is one of the huge selling points for me, specifically indoor soccer, once you get involved with the sport and you learn the players' names and you have a favorite player and even a least favorite player on the opposing team, there's personal interaction with these guys. They're not unapproachable. The community is so small and the fans are so tight and the players are so willing to engage with the players all the time, the players with the fans all the time, that it's it adds a huge it's a huge asset, and it plays to the children and the youth coming in. It's one of the sports that has, relative to the percentage of fans, that has a higher percentage of women and children. As far as the people in the stands, it has a higher percentage of families going to the games, and as opposed to baseball or football. There are women and children that don't go to those games for sure. There's families that go to those games, but the primary focus group is young men, and that's who's in the stands. In an NFL game or a Major League Baseball game or even an NBA game, but when you go to MASL soccer, it's a family environment. And talk about something that is economically friendly too.
Affordable.
I mean, are you kidding me? You get to sit down and watch a 60-minute professional 60-minute game with high level skills, high level athletics, high level interaction on the field, passion on the field, and I mean, really passionate players as well. Yeah. And you get to see that for
ours are $15, right? $15 and
15 or $20, man, and you got the best seat in the house. Not in every venue. I mean, but even in the most expensive venue, you can get a ticket for $15 or $20, general admission or whatever, and then sit down. I mean, you and your wife can go, and there's packages. There's packages that $75, and you have your whole family, family of four,
affordable.
Family of four. You've got your hot dogs, your sodas, and a bucket of popcorn for $75. I mean, you can't. That's one ticket to the NFL. So no, those would be the things that I would say. Those are the things that I try to say, and it really is more than anything. It's finding the ear. See, this is what my personal biggest problem is finding finding an audience that isn't already attached to the sport.
Right. Okay.
I mean, right now, what I'm doing right now, the only people that are going to watch this already love the sport. I mean, finding that avenue, and the same thing is true with broadcasting for whether it's on YouTube or Twitch or Golazo, or whatever the format for the broadcast is concerned. Which broadcast is going to get that random person surfing through the guide and go, hey, what's this MASL soccer thing? Let me look at that. Because that's my biggest problem with YouTube. Is with YouTube, the viewers are the people who already love the sport. The broadcast is high quality, but it's typically, there's not anybody surfing through YouTube and seeing that and going, hey, let's look at that. Maybe there is some.
Point. That's a good point.
Maybe there is some, but not a high percentage. Galazzo probably more so because they're all soccer fans. Anybody watching Galazzo is already a soccer fan, which is a really good thing because okay, I go to Galazzo because I want to watch some soccer today.
Mhm.
Let's see what they have, and they're showing an MASL game. Okay, what's this? So I think that's kind
excellent.
of the end.
Excellent. Yeah. And you're kind of right on line with kind of what our focus is as we move forward through this season. We've connected with a local independent wrestling organization, the Duke City Championship Wrestling, and we've partnered up with them as well. So we're getting like wrestling fans involved with
Nice.
with arena soccer. So I mean we're working on that level. So I appreciate you understanding that, and Greg, that's amazing. I mean that is too amazing, and that is cool. That is so neat that you understand that, and so the goal is to get folks who've never seen the game, who've nothing otherwise, and just experience the fun.
Absolutely. Andreas, hey, thank you so much for Monday. This is an opportunity for you and I to get together and know each other a little bit better, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. I will do the best I can to convince the family to make that trip out to Albuquerque.
Hey, I'm waiting for you, man. You just give me a holler. You got my number. You just give me a call, man, and say, hey, I'm coming in, and I'll be your tour guide if you want. I'll update you guys on what's going on here in the community and what's new, what's not, all that good stuff. So I'm waiting for you. So anytime, brother.
All right. God bless you, my friend. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks.